Hi everybody, welcome to tonight's live class. If you can just let me know if you can hear me, if all the sound is good, I would appreciate that. I'm just trying to join you in the comments so that I can see what everybody has to say this evening. I seem to have a delay on my side. I will be with you shortly in the comments, I'm sure. Just having a slight connection issue on my side. There we are, I'm with you in the comments. Hello everybody. So now I can see you, sound is good. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. So tonight we are going to be doing a shaker cake topper. So sorry, it's a bit off. Let's see, there we are. So we're going to be doing a Valentine's themed one, but you can use the same concept for any theme you like. So we're going to learn a lot of tips and tricks, and we're going to be making it from start to finish. So we did share the project link if you would like to use the project that's already made, or you can make it along with us. I'm going to be moving quite fast this evening because it is an intermediate class, so if you are stuck on anything or you need clarification, please do pop your questions in the comments, and if I don't get to it, one of the other admins definitely will. So as always, this class is proudly sponsored by Logitech and Cricut, and let's get into it. So like I said, we're going to be moving quite quickly. I usually shy away from classes like this because they do take quite a bit of time, and we are obviously limited usually to an hour. So I am going to be moving quite fast, but I am going to try and keep to the time. Again, if you have any comments, any questions, anything you want to add, please just pop it in the comments and I will definitely try to answer it. If not during the class, then afterwards. Okay, so what I have started doing is if there's a class where it is a project that you can easily make yourself, then I will share it to my profile, and I'm sure that the other class teachers will do the same. So this project is actually already on my profile. I made it public today, and it is easy to find because it has our little class visual on it. So you will actually be able to click on it, and if you want to go back and watch this class, you can go back and watch it, as you can see, on the Cricut South Africa YouTube, and I've put the name of the class there. So you can find it all under the live tab. All of our past classes are there. If at any point you need to leave tonight and you'd like to come back and watch it, you can do that on YouTube. So I'm going to say customize so that we can start with our cake topper. So one of the things with the cake toppers is it's a lot of playing around, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. So I like to have a visual reference when we're doing something like this, where I have to basically replicate it for you. So you can see it's a lot of different layers, it's a lot of different pieces, and we're going to be using a lot of different functions to create this. So again, I'm going to be moving quite quickly, but if you get stuck with anything, please do ask the questions. We will definitely get to it. So what I've done is I've actually gone and I've bookmarked all of the things that we are using this evening, but I can tell you what I searched to find them. So the first one was an arch. The second one was a love hot air balloon. This was hanging hearts. This is just a heart. This is a banner. And this is obviously a square. So you'll see where we will use the square. So I'm just going to make this smaller, and I'm going to move these out of the way so they don't confuse us. And we're going to start with our arch, which is in the corner here. So you can see that the shapes are not the same. So what I did is I just kind of dragged it till I got it more or less where I wanted it to be. And again, everything's by eye. There is no, it doesn't have to be a perfect 10 centimeter arch. It can be however it looks good to you. So have fun with it. Trust your instinct. If it looks good on the screen, it's probably going to look good made. Okay, so we have our base. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create our frames for it. So this is the base that's basically going to go at the back. Now we're going to create frames that are going to go on top of that, and we're obviously going to have our acetate and all of those pieces. So let's just, I do quite like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say edit. Remember that the Design Space layout has changed a bit. Most of your tools are now under edit. We're going to say offset, and we're going to add a negative offset to this. So we're going to say minus 0. Let's say 2. So that's 2 millimeters. That's good. So that is how far, if we zoom in, you can see that's how far our first frame is going to be from the edge. So now we actually need to make this into a frame and not a solid shape. So we're going to say offset again, and we're going to go bigger this time. So let's say about minus 0.4. We can even go 0.5, I think. We have 3 frames on this one, so we just need to keep that in mind. You don't want your smallest frame to be super small. So let's go 0.6, and we're going to say apply. So now I've got 2 offsets. You can see them in my side panel. There's my first one, and there's my second one. I'm going to grab both of them, and I'm going to slice. Then I can delete the insides, and you can see I have my first piece of my frame. So that frame is 6 millimeters. So you're going to see when we assemble it more or less how I figured that size out. So we're going to have to use EVA to create the spacer between the backing and the frame / acetate so that we can obviously fill it up. So we need to make sure that the frame that we create is going to be big enough to hide that acetate. So now we can say offset again, and we're going to go smaller this time, 0.2, no, we're going to have to go like 0.1. Okay, and then we're going to offset that one more time. So as you can see, we have all of our different frames, and we can change the colors. So the top one is going to be the pretty pink color, the next one is going to be gold, and the last one is going to be the red. So ideally, I would actually like the space between each of the layers to be about 0.2. So I probably could have made my back frame a little bit thicker. This will still work though, it's not going to work. Okay, so we have our frames, we have our backing piece, and now we need our acetate. So the acetate is obviously going to keep all of your little bits and pieces in, and you want it to be able to sort of be in line with your frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that one, we're going to duplicate it, and then we're going to contour it so that it's a solid piece. We're going to change the color to, let's say, a light blue, and then we know that that is our acetate piece. So what you can even do with this one, if you are like me and you are a little bit shaky on the hands, you can make it a little bit smaller. So I did a 0.1 offset, which means it's going to be slightly smaller than the frame. And you can use that one instead. So we're going to send that to the back. That is our acetate piece. We know that it's there. We don't need to see it because it becomes confusing, obviously, in terms of color. So we basically have our base for our cake topper, and it would work the same way if you were doing a square one, a round one. It doesn't matter, you're going to use the same sort of concept. So you're going to have your base shape, and then you're going to build onto that. Okay, so we have our base shape. Now we want to start putting pretty little elements onto it. So we're going to start, let's grab our banner, and what happened to our, there he is. We're going to grab our hot air balloon and our banner, and we're going to move that over. And again, these are all sort of by eye. You just kind of work with it, see what looks good. Sorry about that. So you obviously don't want it to extend too far outwards. So let me just show you if we have it sort of like this. I mean, it does kind of look cute, I'll be honest. But remember, we still need to add little offsets to it. So what I did is I made it that it was slightly over the edging. And then we're going to add offset. So remember, every time you add an offset, that's a layer that you're adding to it. So if you want it to be nice in 3D, you're going to add an offset. That's going to create a layer for you. Okay, so we're just going to grab it again, edit, offset. So working with 3D sort of things, I've kind of learned that a 0.2 offset is good, especially if you're going to have that 3D effect to it. When you do a 0.1, it's such a small offset that when it gets a little bit of depth to it, it becomes harder to see the bottom layer. So we're going to be doing a positive one this time. We want it to be outwards. We don't want it to go inwards. So we're going to say 0.2. And then we're going to make sure that we have selected the offset, and we're going to offset that again. So you're going to do this as many times as you want. So however many layers you want, that's how many offsets you're going to give it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the banner, and I'm going to start changing my colors. So I want my main banner to be red, and then I kind of want the little pieces underneath to be pink. That's pink, pink peach. And then I want to give it a bit of break in color, so I'm going to use a white piece here. And then I want to have some pizzazz, so I'm going to add in some gold. So our gold is that one, I think. And what you can do as well, so let me show you, if you click on the top one again, you say offset, you can choose if you want rounded corners or if you want more pointy corners. So that's going to matter more when you're working with, let's say, a square or something that has a lot of points to it. So Kim says she loves the offset function. I'm so glad, because when you're making cake toppers, that's probably going to be your best friend. Offset and contour. So we're going to get to contour now. So now you want to put your little, what is this, hot air balloon. You want to stick him in and kind of just put it where you think it works. So I'm just going to change these colors as well so that we can see what it's going to look like in the end. So we're going to have white, red, and that's going to stay sort of pink. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate the white piece. So as you can see, it's one solid piece. I can't just, so let's ungroup that. I can't just move the hearts around. If I want to, it's a solid piece. So to work around that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using the contour function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on contour, and I'm going to click on the little hearts, and I'm going to say apply, and there the hearts will disappear. So what contouring does is it allows you to hide certain elements in your image. It's not project, image, and then you can use them independently. You can use it to create a layered image out of a single layer image. It's very, very useful. So what we're going to do is we are going to select contour again, and this time I only want to leave one of the hearts, and I think it's going to be that one because it won't let me choose them. There we are. And as you can see, there's these little lines. I'm not 100% sure what they are, but we're going to get rid of them. And I just want to do that for this one too, because you don't want hidden cuts. I don't know where they go, but we're getting rid of them. Okay, so we've got our little heart, and I'm just going to zoom in a little, and we're going to stick this little heart. So we need to make sure he's in the front, and we're going to stick him over there, and then we're going to duplicate it. So we want 3 hearts, and we're going to stick one here. So we're doing like a kind of floating effect, and I'm going to show you how that works in a minute. And that one will go there. Okay, so we've got our hot air balloon, we've got everything that we want for it, all of our little pieces. Now we're going to create the layers for it. So what we need to do is we need to select most of our hot air balloons. So we don't need to select the hearts because we're not creating the offset for that part yet. And we're just going to add another 2 offsets to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these out because I do want them to float. I don't want them on the actual offset pieces. And then we're going to change, let's just see if I can click on it. Yeah, we're going to change our offset pieces just so that we have an idea of our colors. Okay, so now we need to make our offset. We need to make our offset so that our hearts can float. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the hearts as well as the back offset. So let me just make sure. There you can see I've selected it. And we're going to say offset again. And you can see that when I add the offset, it adds a little offset around the hearts that will be able to sort of float, if you will. I also need this to be part of the entire structure, so I can't have it floating around aimlessly, and I obviously don't want this part showing over the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab that, and I'm going to grab my acetate piece. So I sent him to the back, so he will be here. So I'm going to duplicate this, and you can see it's moved, so I'm going to take the one that's moved, I'm going to put it there. I want this one, and I want the little piece that I've just created there, and I'm going to say combine and weld. So now it's going to be hidden in the structure, and it's going to be strong enough to hold everything. So we can send that to the back, and we're just going to change the color. I'll show you why. So remember, every time you change a color on your canvas, it indicates that it needs to be on a different mat. So I'm using clear acetate, which needs to be on its own mat, and then I'm using the foil acetate Love Notes, which needs to be on its own mat. So I need to let my machine know, or let Design Space know, that I need it to be on different mats, and to do that I change the colors. So we're going to bring we'll leave this at the back because we don't need to see it. And then we're going to start working on our little hearts. So it's a lot of offsets. I see Susie, you say you're getting lost. It's just a lot of offsets, and again, there is no right amount of offsets. Whatever feels right to you, that's what you're going to go with. So I'm obviously looking at the one that I've already created, and I've basically gone with 3 offsets on every element. I did make 3 offsets for the hearts. They didn't look good, so I tossed the other offsets. So again, it's just play around and see what works for you. There is no wrong or right. Nobody says that 5 offsets is wrong or 2 is wrong. It is literally just what you think looks good, and trust yourself. Okay, so I'm just sizing this. We're going to make this light blue. We're going to then duplicate that. So these are for our little sweethearts on the side, and they're going to just be sort of messy, if you will. And then that way. And then a final one sort of this way. So what I would have done if I was designing on my own, or what I did do initially, is I sort of arranged them. So obviously this one I would want it to be in the front because I'd want to be able to see that it's a heart. I would want this one to be in front of that one, and then I would kind of want this one to be at the back. So that is a little tip, is when you're working with it, if it is hard for you to sort of see the end result, start to arrange the things on your mat exactly how you would have them. So for all of these, I'm going to make one little offset, and it's just going to be a 0.1. And all of my offsets are going to be the same color as the sweethearts. So if you don't know what sweethearts are, they are the absolute best sweets ever, and I'm really, really sad that we don't have them in South Africa anymore. They're amazing. They are little hard candy sweets, and they have little love messages on them. So these ones, these two, we're going to do them a light yellow. No, this one was green. This one we're going to do light pink. This one we're going to do light yellow. And then the bottom one's going to be light blue. Light blue. Very cute. I love that. So now we're going to add in our text, and our text is going to be our little message. So there's text me. And this, I want it to be 2 lines. And you can see that the space between it is very big, so we're going to say edit, and we are going to change our line space. So we're going to make it a negative line space. Let's say -3, -4. And again, it's just play around and see, oopsie, play around and see what works. That works. And then we're going to size that. And this is going to be added on its own, so it doesn't need to be perfectly aligned. Sized, yes, it does need to be perfectly sized, but it doesn't need to be perfectly aligned. We'll do that afterwards. And this one's just going to be love. And I wanted the single lines to be a little bit bigger, just so it fills it up nicely. We're going to duplicate this one. The bottom one's going to be XOXO. And we want that to be like that. And then this one over here is going to be Be Mine. And I do want that to be, let me just move that, one under the other. Okay, so it does look messy because I haven't perfectly aligned it, but I will be doing that afterwards. So we want love, we want Be Mine, text me, XOXO, and I'm going to choose a very deep dark red for that so that I can tell the difference when I go to cut it. Okay, next we're going to be doing our Happy Valentine. So I didn't see if, there it is. So we're going to go to my bookmarked, and again I just searched Happy Valentines, and then I just went and found one that worked. Where's my bookmark? There it is. So I must say, while I'm zooming along here, it is absolutely boiling hot in Durban. I am really battling. I put my fan off for all of you. I hope you appreciate. It is super, super hot. Okay, so there's our wording, and you can type this. I just didn't want to type it all. I thought it would be easier for me to just find one that was already done. So for this one, I went with a lighter red, and you will see why when we get to making it. So what I'm doing is, for the wording, the Happy Valentine's Day, I'm going to be using glitter iron-on. For the XOXO, Be Mine, Love, and Text Me, it's going to be normal iron-on. And then for everything else, it's going to be cardstock. So why didn't I use cardstock for the wording? So when you see it, it is very, very thin, and you have to be mindful of the limitations of the material that you're working with. So cardstock is not capable of being cut that thin. It will just shred. Maybe you might get it right after a couple tries, but for me it's just not worth it. I would just find something that works. So we're going to go again with 0.2 offsets. And then once that offset is there, we're going to add another one. And we're going to add one more. I think I went too big. I think the first one was a 0.1. Yes, it was. Okay, so we're just going to delete these quickly. And we're going to go 0.15. So I usually bounce between 0.15 and 0.2 on the offsets. It's completely up to you though. See what works for you and then go with that. So yeah, the last two I do want to go 0.2. So what I'm doing as well is, as I'm adding the offsets, I'm thinking about, am I going to be adding a double-sided tape to the back of it? If I am, then obviously I don't want that showing through. If I'm not going to be adding it, then obviously it's fine because you're just going to stick it on with glue, which it doesn't really matter how thin it is then. Okay, now we're going to change our colors. So our top one's going to be white, that's going to be pink, and then the bottom one's going to be gold. And I think I might be able to make that a little bit smaller, just so it doesn't overwhelm the design. And that's most of our design done. So I think the last thing I need to add is my hearts. Oopsie, let's zoom out just so we can see. So the hearts, I kind of wanted them hanging here, and these ones, it might get a little bit confusing, but again, I am making more of an advanced design. You don't have to go this intricate. There's so many other things that you can do, which I will talk about in a minute. So we're going to have this, and as you can see, it's single layer, but in my project it is a multi-layered one. So the little hearts, there's different colored hearts. So how did I do that? So what I did is I said edit, and again with the offset, I'm going to be doing a negative offset. So we're going to say 0.1, and let's see what it looks like. So I can see, if I look at this, it's not giving me that complete heart. So let's go 0.15, and we say apply, and you can see it's giving me little hearts that I will be able to cut out and stick on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this twice. One of them is going to be white, and one is going to be pink. So this is where it's going to get a little bit confusing, but once you try it, once you get the hang of the contour function, it becomes very easy. So I don't want any of the little hearts in between. So I don't want any of these. They're really tiny. They're a little bit not shaped well, and they're just going to be super difficult for me to add on. So I'm going to get rid of all of them. Let's say apply. And I want to do the same for this one. So we're just going to get rid of all of these little ones. So at this point, it's up to you. If you wanted to cut a full set of white and a full set of pink, you could. And then you could just sort out the pattern once it's all been cut. But I decided to do it with the contour function, and I'm going to be going sort of in a pattern. So this one, I think I went there, and this one there, and this one there. And then we want to do the same with the white. So this is where it got confusing for me, because I couldn't really remember. Let's see, that looks good. So I couldn't remember the pattern that I went in, and that confused me a little. So you can always just apply and keep checking. So you can see here there's a problem here. So I need that one. I want that one back. I want that one. Okay, so let's do this. Let's delete that one. And what we're going to do is we're going to work off of this one, and that's going to make it easier for me to see which ones I need to hide and which ones I need to keep. So I think this is probably the most confusing part of the whole thing. So you can see what I'm doing is I am hiding the ones that were previously not hidden, and I'm unhiding the alternating ones. And then we say apply, and there I have my little alternating pattern. Okay, now we're going to add our offsets to our hanging hearts. So we're going to say, I just want to check something. Let's say cancel. And we're going to just bring this to the front so that I can show you what I'm doing with this little piece. So what I want to do is I want to create a little piece that's going to be able to stick to the banner so that my hearts are not all separate, because it will be a nightmare to have to stick each of these pieces individually. So I'm going to select the heart and the little, where is it, my shape. There's my shape and my hearts, and I'm going to say combine weld. So you can see I've just given it a little thing that I will be able to stick at the back. So now we're going to say offset, and we're going to give that a 0.2 offset. Apply. Is 0.2 the way to go? Let's go again. Offset and apply. So our top one is going to be red. Our next one is going to be white. And our last one is going to be gold. And again, these are colors that I just kind of played around with until I was happy with them. So we're going to send these to the back. And there you have it. So here is our design. Let's hide that. You can see it's a bit bigger than the one I originally created, which is completely fine. You can grab the whole thing and you can resize and change it how you want to. So the final thing you're going to do is, with any cake topper, you want to have something at the back that's going to hide your cake stick, because you don't want the cake stick showing from the back. So to do that, all I'm going to do is I'm then again going to offset this. So this is just going to be a little white piece that we are going to have at the back. We're just going to stick it on the back, and that is going to hide the cake stick at the back. So another thing you need to think about is, do you want a printed background? If you want a printed background, there's a lot of ways that you can do it. You can do it using obviously print then cut, or you can use a pre-printed sheet of paper. So that's what I did. I used a pre-printed sheet of paper. So you can see the designs are the same. I'm going to go back to my original design, which is the one that I've shared, which everybody can obviously use if they want to. And if you look here, I have this one, which is purple, and this was the printed sheet. I also have my offset, which is our clear acetate, and I have my blue offset, which is obviously our Love Notes acetate. So I've put my machine on. We're going to say make it. I have cut most of these pieces already because, like I said, this is quite a big project and I don't want to keep you here all night. I'm sure everybody has things to do later this evening, like make beautiful cake toppers. So as you can see, it's sorting my mats or my different elements onto matte according to the colors that I've chosen. So in my mind, I know that the gray is the clear acetate because that's what I need to create the floating effect. I know that the white is going to be my cardstock. The red is going to be my other cardstock. I know that this is my glitter cardstock. So what you can do, if you don't want to waste stuff, you can sort of move them around, and this is what I did. I moved it into the frame because you're not going to use the middle piece anyway, and you can just rearrange things to suit yourself. These are our little hearts. That's all going to be cardstock. This is going to be our Love Notes acetate. This is going to be my pre-printed sheet. So if you didn't watch my party box class, I actually used pre-printed sheet. So it's literally just print a sheet of paper and cut something out of it, which is really, really helpful if you have a Joy that can't do print then cut. You can still get a really cool pattern background out of that. This is going to be our glitter HTV, so you're going to want to mirror that. This is going to be our normal HTV. You're going to want to mirror that again. So if you've watched any of my live classes where I deal with cardstock, my number one tip is cut it on mirror. So any of your smoother cardstocks, your ACs, Couture Creations, you're going to want to do that on mirror. I tend to shy away from doing glitter cardstock on mirror, and the reason for that is because it has that rough texture. It battles to actually hold on to the mat. It also tends to ruin your mat. So any of the ones that are a plain cardstock, you can mirror that, cut it in mirror, and it's going to save you from getting those little nicked bits on the edges. So the only things I actually need to cut tonight is our white backing. So I'm going to say hard object, because I don't need to cut any of these. I just need to cut this one. We're going to mirror that, and then I obviously need to cut my acetate as well. Just make sure she is connecting. Okay, she's connecting. So I see Kim is pumping up Susie in the comments. Susie, you're amazing. You know you are. But like all of us, we will let you be dramatic for a moment. Okay, so cut settings. So remember, your cut settings are suggested cut settings. What I'm using might not necessarily work for you, and that's completely okay. It is okay to deviate from the suggested cut settings. You do not have to use the one that says medium cardstock. If that one works great for you, then that's wonderful. But if it doesn't, then feel free to explore other ones. We did share a post on how to create a custom setting, or how to check what your cut settings pressure and passes is. Another tip I can give you with cardstock is, wherever possible, try to do one pass. So I know it's not always possible, especially if you're working with a very delicate cardstock, but if you're working with like an AC cardstock, if you can get one pass, it's gonna save you having that sort of nicked look to it. So I'm going to be cutting clear acetate, and I'm going to be using the foil acetate setting. So the reason I'm using the foil acetate setting is because I used it and it worked. That's the only reason. So I am going to put more pressure, and the reason for that is, let's just swap over so you can see. Okay, so this is our Love Notes acetate. As you can see, it is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It's got all these different little patterns on it, and that's what we've used for the front of the cake topper there. So it just gives it like this really cute little look. So that is the foil acetate, and then what we're going to be cutting now, so you would cut it the same way, but the reason I'm using more pressure is that there's actually a protective covering on both sides, and I'm not going to take that off. And the reason I'm not taking it off is because I don't want to leave any glue residue on my pretty clear acetate. So we have also done other classes where we've done more simple cake toppers, but we've never really done a class like this where we've done the more intricate kind. So if this feels overwhelming, please do not give up. There are easier ones that you can do. We've just gone straight for the top dog. This is probably one of the most complicated types that you can make. so we're going to stick that in, and that's just going to cut. So I'm using my strong grip mat, and the reason I'm using my strong grip mat is because it's not brand new, firstly, and I know that when my machine is cutting acetate, it's going to use a lot of pressure, and that can cause the material to shift, which obviously I don't want. Just make sure she's okay. She's fine. So like I said, I have already cut most of the pieces because I don't want to keep you here all evening. So I already have them pre-cut here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of figure out what pieces are going together. Okay, now we're just going to test this and make sure it's cut. It has. So we're good. We can unload. And as you can see there, it's got the little sticky piece. Not sticky piece, like the cover. So you can see there is a cover, and we will take that off before we use it, obviously. But I do want to keep it on as long as possible. And then we're just going to cut our little white piece, and for this I'm using the medium cardstock setting. And I do want, I don't think it matters too much, so I kind of want the textured look on the front, personal preference. Okay, so that will go there. Let's start with our little hearts. So I'm just getting all of my little hearts ready so we can start with those. So why did I choose, that's my hair, sorry about that. So why did I choose to use HTV on this? So there were two very good reasons. Number one, I did not want to mess with sticker vinyl and transfer tape, and especially using such small pieces, it just becomes a lot trickier. It's not impossible, it's just a lot trickier. And I personally love the way that Iron-On weeds. I just found it a lot easier, so that's what I decided to go with. So what I like to do is when I'm assembling it, I like to keep, so let's go back to Design Space quickly, let's say cancel. And I do this with most of my projects, especially if they are more intricate ones. Let's move this across so we can see it nicely. There we are. So I like to keep it so that I can kind of see it as I'm assembling it, and I know where everything goes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to weed our Iron-On. So I'm just going to get our heat press ready. And you can see what I mean by weeding is just so much easier. Look how teeny tiny these pieces are. Absolutely teeny tiny. But it's quite easy to weed it, which I love. And again, when you're weeding, kind of go with it. You don't want to apply too much pressure, or you don't want to like pull your letters around. So you just sort of maneuver it with the way that it wants to go. Yeah, so there I'm seeing Sarah did a cake topper class, a beginner cake topper class. So if you are finding this intimidating, Sarah's classes are absolutely amazing. I would definitely go and give that a watch. It's available on YouTube under the live tab. You can go back and watch all of the past classes. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to be ironing this onto our little hearts. And it's going to be the small hearts. And then I'm going to need 4 little pieces of double-sided tape with EVA or EVA, double-sided tape or EVA foam. So this is EVA foam that I have put die cut and bond onto. Okay, so our blue one is XOXO. We're just going to put that there, and I'm doing it on a hard surface, and the reason I'm doing it on a hard surface is I don't want to warp my cardstock. So obviously just please be careful of your desk. I've done this before. I know I'm not going to burn my desk. So just be careful, and just like with anything else, you're going to want that to cool down before you try to peel it. So next we're going to be doing the text me. Oopsie. And then we're going to do Be Mine and XOXO. Oh no, Be Mine and Love, sorry. Be Mine and Love. And obviously just be careful of your fingers. You don't want to burn your fingers in the process, because that will not be nice. Be Mine and then Love. I love that. So Susie says that she doesn't think she has all of the materials to make this. She might improvise as usual. I absolutely love that. So if you don't have the materials, if you just don't feel like putting in that much effort, or you just want to go for something simpler, improvise. That is literally what creativity and crafting is about. And I love seeing variations. I absolutely love it. I love seeing how we can inspire one another. So while we're talking about inspiring one another, let's talk about this week's challenge, which is literally all about inspiring one another. So if you haven't seen this week's challenge, so I'm just taking all of these off. If you have not seen this week's challenge, you just have to make a project that's inspired by another maker on Design Space and tag them. That's it. That's the challenge. And there are literally millions of amazing designs on Design Space. So 100% would recommend. Loads of fun. And there we are. And look at them. They look like proper sweethearts. How cute. How cute. Oh, this one does not want to stick though. Should we just get add a little bit more pressure there? Sorry, my chair is creaking this time. So last time it was the fan and this time it's the chair. Okay, there we are. Now we're just going to stick these on there, and then we're going to get to gluing everything. So we just want to stick that there. Oopsie. And what I like to do with the little pieces is I like to use my tweezers. It just makes it a lot easier. Next up. So I use the tweezers, I take the little top piece off, and then I grab it, stick it down like that. and then I repeat that process. So I'm just, oh, it's so super hot in Durban. I'm really battling right now. So we did do a whole bunch of classes. I see there's talk about the classes. We did do a whole bunch of really great classes that unfortunately got lost due to Facebook changing their live policies. But we have caught up with some amazing classes on YouTube. Here we are. And that's our little hearts all done, ready to be stuck. So now we're literally going to repeat this process for all of our little pieces. We're going to stick our frames together. So the frames, you can see they're quite thin. So I'm not going to be using a double-sided tape to be sticking these. They're all just going to lay flat on each other. So we're going to just add some glue here. And I'm using Jewel Bond, Jewel Bond. I'll get it out eventually. I'm using Jewel Bond glue, but you can use whatever glue you have available. If it sticks, then great. Okay, I'm just going to. So one of the important things when working with cardstock is you don't want to bend it. You want to be gentle with it. Oopsie. And one of the nice things about working with the glitter cardstock is that if you do get a bit of glue on it, it's usually going to hide in there. So don't stress too much. Okay, so we're creating our frame, and that's going to go onto our acetate, and that's going to be the front done. Okay, so I need my patterned acetate, and you can obviously, oopsie, it's got little hearties all over it. You can obviously use a normal acetate if that's what you have available. Let me just push this up so it's not out of your view. And this one also has a piece stuck to it. It has one piece. I just can't remember if it's the front or the back. So what I do is I usually check it at the bottom. And the reason I check it at the bottom is that if I do scratch it, it's going to be hidden by my frame anyway. I can't remember if I took this off. I don't think I did. I can't, no, I don't. No, I didn't. There it is. Found it. So it's on the back side. I don't know if you'll remember that because I never do. But it's on this side. Okay, so we're going to be sticking on the front side of it. So we're just going to add our glue. And you can see I'm putting it in the center because I don't want this smushing out onto our acetate. Oopsie, that was a bit close. So with this one, we can just take it and, oopsie, and place it on like so. And I'm just going to push outwards so that it doesn't go into the center of our frame. And there we have our whole front piece ready to go. Now we're going to quickly build our, this guy, hot air balloon. It's a hot air balloon. Oopsie, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. There. There. So I'm just gathering all my little pieces. And so these were, remember I said to you that I created an offset for the hearts and then I tossed it. those were my offsets, and I said no, I don't want to do those. So I am tossing them. I did test them first. They really didn't look good. So what I'm doing here is, it might look messy, but I'm actually creating little piles of all the pieces that go together, so that I know what goes with what, and it's easy for me to just start putting it together. Oopsie, that goes there. Those little hearts. So you can see there's a different, I don't know if you can see, there's a different shape to the heart. So I know which of the hearts is for the hot air balloon and which are for our other piece. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. So there's one or two little pieces in here that I still need, but I'll get to them. That's completely fine. Okay, so now we're going to just put our hot air balloon together. So what I'm going to do, and again, this is EVA foam that I have covered with die cut and bond. So if you saw, Zelda shared a post during the week with what do you need to make cake toppers, and that was one of the products that she linked. So if you are looking for it, you can have a look at that post and you will be able to find it. Okay, so I'm just layering my foam. So I see there's a question regarding how much you would charge for this. So the advice that I was given, and it's something that I always followed, is when you are costing, and this goes for vinyl, this goes for cardstock, pretty much anything. So if the vinyl that you are using is a vinyl that you're going to use often, you can use it for other people, then you can charge per piece. If it is something that you have to buy specially for the customer, you're going to charge them for the whole piece. So with this, I would look at how many different pieces of cardstock did I use. Even if I only used a little piece of it, so like here, I would probably be lenient with this, but I would charge for the white, the red, the pink, and the gold. The entire piece, even if I have pieces left over. And the reason for that is you need to be able to cover the cost of your materials, even if you have materials left over. So you don't know how long it's going to be until the next customer needs that color. So you're going to be sitting with that cost for however long. I can't say how long it'll be, only you would know that, obviously. So always charge for all of the materials that you're using. Obviously, if you have a whole roll of black vinyl, you're not going to charge them for the whole roll. There's a handy cost calculator that you can use on Facebook, and that will help you. So for something like this, I think I'd be looking at about 150, to be honest. So the other aspect that you have to look at is this takes a lot of time. It's not something that you are going to design in 2 minutes. It's going to take a lot of your time to design. So custom stuff like this does cost a little bit more. And obviously when people want custom items, they are prepared to pay a little bit more because they understand that it takes time and energy and all of those things. Okay. So what I would suggest, if you wanted to do this, let's say for Valentine's Day, you could have a catalog of maybe 3 or 4 different designs that you could offer your customers, and then offer them only those. So it's not really a custom thing, and your design time on it's going to be a lot less, which means that you can make a lot more of them, and it means you can make a lot more money off of them. So if you can do something like that, so what I'm doing is, if you look at the edges, they're a little bit icky, so I'm just straightening them out. So if you have a set design and you can make more in less time. It's going to cost you less, and then you can sell them for less. My biggest piece of advice though for all crafters is know your worth. Don't sell yourself short. So remember, every time you sell yourself short, you are undercutting not only yourself but the market too. And I do truly believe that crafters have a very special gift. It might seem easy to us, but it is a very special gift to have that creativity. So don't undersell yourself. Okay. We're just going to make sure this is straight. Nope, it must be straight. There we are. Ta-da! And then we're going to add a little heart onto it, so you can have it sticking out if you want, which I did, but I don't want it on this one. So I'm just going to stick my little glue dot there. So Candace asked, what is the market rate for time? So that's very, very difficult. I saw something that said that you should take what you would want to get paid in a month, or what you would need to survive in a month, and then divide that by sort of the hours. So it's a very difficult question. We all have different rates. I tend to not charge properly for my time, if I'm honest, because I think it would just make things too expensive. So I do think in that, in those instances, it's better to have a catalog of designs so that you're not spending a whole lot of time designing. Okay, so now we're going to be doing our little banner. And for the banner, I want it to stand out. So I want it to have a 3D effect. So I'm going to add double-sided tape onto the big piece that runs across the middle. Sorry, I am keeping you a little over time. I am rushing though, just to try and get it done so I can show you the end result. It's going to be stunning. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to make sure that there is a little or an equal gap on all sides. Okay, and then here I'm going to be adding my little pieces. So I'm gluing these directly onto the piece. And the reason I'm gluing it directly on is because I want it to have that 3D effect. So I want it to look like the middle of the banner is kind of flowing. There we are. So I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of gives it the effect that it's like it's really flowing. Oopsie. And then we have our little pieces over here, and those are going to go into the little gap. And you can see I'm just using a really tiny bit of glue, so that's going to fit in there, and that's going to give it like that shadow effect. So because we're using a different color, it kind of gets the feel that it's the shadow, if that makes sense, or the back side. I think it's the back side. And here we are. Okay, and then we're going to be sticking that onto there, and again I'm going to be using a piece of double-sided tape. And we're just going to make sure that's nice and straight. Stick that down. There's our banner done. Now we're going to move on to our wording, which we're going to do kind of the same way. So we've got almost all of our pieces together. So for our wording, we need to weed that. So again, I'm using a, what do you call this? An Iron-On, because it's very thin wording and I didn't want to be messing around with transfer tape, and I also wanted to be able to show you that it works. It's a great alternative to using vinyl. You can use Iron-On on cardstock and it looks amazing. Yes, Susie, you definitely need to invest in some Jewel Bond. It's a great glue. It's basically the only one that I'm using these days. Okay, so I'm just weeding all the little pieces. And tweezers are great for this. So if you have the weeding toolkit, it comes with tweezers that are very helpful with weeding little bits. Very, very helpful. Okay, so again, we're just going to line this up onto, so there, we're just going to line them up. I just want to make sure it's nice and lined up. Can't really see in this light. It's a little bit bright. Should we just, oopsie, I can see it's lifting. We don't want that. And that's why I turn it over. So if you've wondered why I turn it over once it's been pressed, it's just to kind of hold the vinyl down. There it is. It's still under my hand. Magic. So we're almost done. I'm not going to keep you much longer. I just need to get this stack. Okay, while we wait for that to cool down, we're just going to stick this onto there. So for this one, I did use double-sided tape. So I'm just going to cut little pieces quickly. Okay, that's going to go onto the back here. That's going to give us a little bit of dimension. And I think that's really what doing 3D toppers is about, is creating that dimension, that 3D look. Just kind of making it pop. And it's alternating as well. Making some of the layers 3D, making some of them not 3D. And just giving it a whole bunch of different types of depth. There we are. Shame. Judy says no rush. We want to see the end result shape. My kiddos are waiting to go to bed. And I'm not even kidding. It is so hot in Durban. I am literally, I'm dying right now. But it's fine. It is so hot in Durban. Where are my fellow Durbanites? How are you? Are you in the chat? Or has everybody checked out already? Because wow, it's hot. And it's been like this probably for the last 4 days. So I'm just sticking our hanging hearts. And for the hanging hearts, I decided not to mess around and go 3D with this. And the reason for that is it's really small and it just felt like a lot of unnecessary work. I didn't see that making them 3D would make this cake topper any better than what it is. I honestly didn't. How cute is this? I love it. So cute. And that's going to go there. So I think that's also important, is asking yourself, is putting in this extra effort going to take my cake topper or my project to the next level? Or is it just going to be a little bit better? Because if it's just going to be a little bit better and you can live without it, then live without it, especially if you're trying to do this as a business. Don't do too much unnecessary work. You're going to land up getting frustrated, getting overwhelmed. And honestly, a lot of the times people don't notice that teeny tiny element, and you definitely could have done without it. So don't overwhelm yourself. Let me just work with what you have and go from there. Oh wow, apparently it's cold in Kato fridge, which I assume is Kato Ridge. But it is absolutely, I don't want to tell you that I'm sweating, but I am. Yeah, it's terrible. Okay, there we are. Oopsie, we just have one piece that hasn't taken. So you can see there's nothing wrong with the vinyl. It is, I'm doing short bursts because I'm working with cardstock. I don't want to go crazy with it. Okay, so remember we still have our little piece on here. We're going to start building our little shaker now. And to do that, I'm using, what is this stuff? EVA and acetate. So let's move, not acetate, EVA and die cut and bond. So let's just move that out the way so you can see. So literally I have cut strips, I've cut thin little strips, and I'm going to layer them behind my frame like so. And the most important thing here is I just want to make sure that it's behind the frame. I don't want it sticking out from my frame. And I just want to make sure that there's no gaps, because if there's gaps, whatever you put into your shaker is going to fall out. And we're just going to go around and do that. And you can see I'm just making sure it's behind the frame, making sure that nothing is, let's just get a piece overlapping. And I'm just going to snip this little piece on the corner. And then to give it a little bit more depth, I'm going to go around one more time. So we take these off. And that the reason I'm taking these off is because that makes it sticky. And then we're going to go around one more time. Candace says as soon as it is winter, everyone wants summer. No, bring winter back. I quite enjoyed winter. I can do the cold. I cannot do the heat. So I'm just doubling up here. And that's just to give it extra depth so that I can fill it up. So Kim, I didn't tell you because I didn't know if you were using the same bottle I am. So I've decanted my Jewel Bond into a teeny tiny bottle. So just to show everyone, it's got like a pin type nib to it. That is the nib, that's not the pin. The pin's in my hand. And then you put the pin in it like so to stop the glue from clogging. Yeah. So you can obviously do that with any glue. It doesn't have to be dual bond. You're just going to decant glue into one of these containers. I think they are for, what are they for? They are for quilling, I think, originally, maybe, possibly. Okay, so I'm just snipping this so that it fits nicely. Oopsie, that was a bit rough. And now we're going to do the fun part. We're going to fill it, and then we're just going to stick everything on. So I'm using some of these little polystyrene balls. I got these, I think, from Walton's. They are super, what do you call it, staticky though, so just obviously be careful. I'm just going to stick those in there. Okay, and they blow everywhere. So if your fan's on, so Kim, I feel like I'm being dragged in the comments. The bottle comes with a pin in it, so I kind of felt like I wouldn't have to tell you that. So these bottles actually come with a pin already in it. Yeah, there's that. Okay, now we're going to very gently take this off to show the sticky part, and we want to make sure we don't throw all of our little elements out, obviously. Obvious. And our last piece at the bottom. There we are. And then this is my pre-printed sheet. So I just printed a sheet with like a little pretty pattern on it. You can see it's photo paper. And I'm just going to line this up nicely and stick that down. There we are. And then you have a shaker. How cool is that? So that's your whole shaker part done. And now we're going to actually start sticking our elements on. So remember, this has two sides to it that have a cover. This is going to go on here. We're just putting glue all over there. Oopsie. Just put glue. And then we're going to position this on here. Like so. And this is going to give us, just making sure it's straight. This is going to give us the foundation for our hearts, and it's also going to tell us where this needs to go. So for this, I'm obviously going to put glue on one side only because it's going to be hanging off the edge. We don't need glue all over. I'm going to make sure he sort of fits where he's supposed to go, like so. And then I'm going to cut two tiny pieces of EVA. So I just need really tiny pieces, and that's going to be for our floating hearts. So what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to stick all of the millions of little hearts. Literally what you would do, and the reason for that is because obviously we've gone over time, but what you would do is you would literally put little dots and then stick your little hearts. So it's super easy. You are not missing anything, I promise you, and I will obviously post another image, or I have posted an image there. That's going to go there, and then another one over there. So these are just tiny little pieces of double-sided tape, and this is why I love die cut and bond and EVA, because you get so much out of it. And double-sided tape is super expensive. Yes, that can go off. There we are, and we're just going to grab our little hearts, if we can. There we are. I do apologize. I know this has been a super long class, but I hope that it's been helpful. Again, we've always shied away from doing classes like this because they are very long, but I know that there are some people that have really wanted to learn how to do this, and I hope that it will be beneficial to their small businesses, or even just when they're making things, you know, for their family. It's one of my favorite things to do for my kids on their birthday, is make them pretty cake toppers. So we're just going to stick that there. Okay, so this is what I did. This is why I created this piece. And that was so that I could stick it onto here. Like so. And that was just to give it like some, what do you call it? Strength. I don't know if strength's what you call it. Some stability, if you will. And we're going to glue this onto here. Like so. Oh, I did get glue on there. And then we're going to glue, oopsie, there we are. And then we're going to glue this piece onto here. So I am rushing a little. So if it's a little untidy, I do apologize. And then I'm just going to plug our glue gun in quickly for a final piece at the back. Here we are. So again, I'm not going to be sticking the little hearts on here, but it's completely fine. You're not missing anything, I promise you. It is a very simple part of the process. Okay, so I'm just cutting 4 more pieces here, and that is for our hearts. Oh wow, Candace said that she's made black glue. I do apologize, that's a neighbor. Candace said she's made black glue for special projects. That is so cool. I've never thought of that. I've never thought of that before. And I must admit, that's probably one of my favorite parts of these classes, is having everybody share their tips and tricks. I love learning. I do. And I think we all have something to teach each other, and it's one of the reasons I love these classes and this community, because we all just have so much to teach one another. And I find that specifically crafters are so willing to teach one another those things, and I just love that. Okay, we are down to the final pieces. We're almost there. That one goes on top. And we're going to put that there, and again I'm kind of just putting it wherever. It doesn't really matter. If they're slightly off, it's still going to look good. There we are, and then we're going to put that one there. Ta-da! So this is basically our cake topper done. Now what we're going to do is, you can see at the back it doesn't look so pretty. So you don't really want that on your cake, because people do walk behind the cake 90% of the time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to glue it on with a glue stick. A glue gun. It's a glue gun. So we're going to, and the reason I use a glue gun is because it dries quickly, and I've tried other things and they didn't hold. So the cake stick fell out, and I've been through the whole process. So we're going to stick that in there. Ta-da, like so. Make sure it's straight. Make sure it's straight. And then to accommodate the cake stick, you obviously don't want the back of this topper looking squished. To accommodate the fact that you've got a cake stick in there, you're just going to stick some more double-sided tape, like so. we're going to have our back piece, and that is going to fit on. Oh, I didn't remove, and please just be careful to do this, I didn't remove the back cover for this. It's fine though, because it's literally just a cake topper for this class, but just be careful when you're working with your clear acetate. It does have two pieces to it, not just one, two covers. And there it is. There is our cake topper. So there is the original one I made, and you can see it's got the little hearts that I've stuck, and there's the second one that doesn't have the hearts. I will obviously finish it off, but we've just run out of time. I appreciate each and every one of you staying and seeing it through to the end. I do apologize for going over time, but again, I hope that this class was helpful, and I can't wait to do it with you again. Thank you very much for joining me, and have a good evening further.